Welcome to Olympiad program. Today we can solve this equation. First we would see the equation is x plus a cube equal to cube root of a minus x. Any class 9 or 10 student can solve this, but hardly general student of class 10 can solve this. But if we just apply a technique, then it will be very much easy to solve this. Now see, here in this equation, x plus a cube equal to cube root of a minus x, where a greater than 0, a is the real parameter. Now we can derive this equation as a cube equal to cube root of a minus x minus x, and therefore a equal to cube root of minus x. So we can derive this equation. And now the technique is we can consider this equation as x is the a is the unknown variable. Okay, the technique we have to take in this equation, that after writing this equation we consider that a is the unknown variable. Then we can look this equation and we can easily see that this equation, if we consider that function of a equal to a, then we can consider this equation as this equation can be expressed as this function of a equal to a, right? Now from this equation we see that if a equal to a, it is a solution, and just if we consider that if a0 equal to a0 is the solution, and since if the function is an increasing function, since the function is increasing, suppose if a0 less than a0, suppose since the function is increasing, first suppose function of a0 is less than a0, then we consider this equation. From this equation we can see that a0 equal to function of a0, and which less than function of a0, and which is less than a0. So we see that a0, the first condition, applying the first condition, that is the a0 less than a0, then we see that a0 less than a0, which is impossible. And if again if the function is greater than a0, then what would happen? Then a0 equal to function of this, and that means greater than a0, which is greater than a0. Now we see that a0 is greater than a0. So in both cases, a0 less than a0 or a0 greater than a0, both are almost contradictory. So it would we must take this decision. These two statements, these contradictory, both these two contradictory statements, if we consider this, then we can come to the conclusion that a0 must be, function of a0 must be a0, and if a equal to a, that means f equal to e. So this is the solution of this equation. That means clearly the equation can be rewritten as, we can write this equation as clearly equal to a. Clearly if equal to a, that means cube of a minus 6 equal to a, which is nothing but, that means a equal to a minus a. So this is the solution. So this equation, I think, if you feel interesting, you can subscribe and like my channel for such many attractive and interesting equation problem, or mainly any mathematical competitive examination like regional mathematical exam or Indian Olympiad qualifier exam or Indian National Mathematical Olympiad exam. However, you can subscribe and like my channel. Thank you all for watching this channel.